So, as I mentioned, our first invention today.
Well, let's remind people what
Oh,
we're doing
we need to
here.
remind people to vote, too.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
For anyone who missed this, or just as a refresher, Inventions We Love is a showcase of 3 different inventions. You're going to have a chance to vote on each of them. Just go to the GeekWire Summit app. You can find that in the iOS or Android Google Play Store.
You should all have it installed by now, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But at this point of the conference. But if you don't, it's not too late. So each startup will have how many minutes?
2 minutes to pitch us, and then there's some Q&A with the two of us.
And we'll go from there.
It's going to be fun. And first up, we have Deako, which is maker of a smart light switch. And here from Deako is Derek Richardson, the CEO.
Hi, John, Todd.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Nice to meet you
Cool.
guys.
What do you have here? Show us
Well, at Deako, I'm the CEO and founder of Deako. We make smart and beautiful light switches that allow you to control any light in your house from any switch, mobile device, or even using your voice. So imagine that you're going to bed at night, and I've got little kids, and they leave a ton of lights on in the house. I lie down in bed, and I say, Alexa, sorry if I set off anybody's stuff.
No watch yet.
Good night.
Yes.
And all the lights on my house instantly turn off. Or when I'm away on vacation, my lights are turning on, pretending like I'm at home, following the patterns of me living in my space. So there's many other use cases around smart lighting, automatically turning off fans and such, and there's several other companies that make technology like this. What's really unique about us is that we make a beautiful product that is also modular, so it's ideal when you're building a new home or remodeling a home. It can be installed by any regular electrician. Let me show you real quickly if you hold this.
Yep.
So it's a standard light switch. Gets screwed in exactly where a normal light switch would be in your house. Wires in. If anybody's familiar with electricity, they've got it. But our product is interchangeable and removable. So think of this like you're plugging a toaster into the wall or a dishwasher or something like that that's interchangeable. And so if you're building a house or remodeling, you can start with our simple product. It's got no electronics. It's a fraction of the cost. And then at any time, you can simply plug it in and upgrade to a smart version yourself. So most solutions require a professional installer or integrator or specialist. Ours is something that you can install and set up yourself, making it really, really simple.
That's Deako.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Derek.
I always ask this question. How much? When's it available? Where can I get it?
It's available now. So we're going in about 20% of the new homes that are built in the Seattle area right now. We've started to expand to New York, Texas, and just in Florida. But any homeowner can buy it themselves if they want. Our base product starts at around $10 and goes up to about $50, $60, or $100 for the smart dimmer.
So in terms of the voice control, does it require a third-party speaker like Alexa
Yes.
And which ones do you work with?
We work with Amazon Alexa and Google Home today.
And do you require an additional hub to work with Alexa or Home, or does it just
No, it
work
works
on its
with
own
it.
natively?
Yeah.
Directly? I mean, this is a difficult problem. I've been, as John knows, Daniel Rossi, our Chief Business Officer, has started shutting his door when I start trying to work on all the smart things in the conference room, our podcast studio, because all I do is sit there and go, Alexa, Alexa, Alexa. I mean, this is a difficult thing to set up, so if you can make it easier to switch things out, I can see the advantage.
Yeah, can we get the on-air sign for our podcast studio integrated with this?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah. And I mean, technology doesn't last forever, and you're going to be changing it. What people don't think about is you're permanently installing technology in your home, but it's not going to last forever as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, these other standards move. Now all of a sudden you're calling an electrician back or you're rewiring something. This makes it really, really simple for you to make changes, upgrade, and move with new technologies.
Yeah, you mentioned there are a lot of players in this space. Yesterday we heard from Apurva Mehta, the CEO of Instacart, about really being passionate about what you're doing and latching onto that idea. Why this idea? Why smart light switches?
You know, I bought a house, went through a remodel, and I had a Nest thermostat, I had some drop cams, these beautiful, simple, easy-to-use products. And when I went searching out for a lighting solution, you could buy things like the Philips Hue bulbs. Well, they don't work that well. If you turn the switch off on the wall, they're not smart. You can't use Alexa, you can't use Google Home. You have to get up, turn on the light, and then talk to it. So really the solution is it needs to be in the light switch, but there's just this massive barrier. And so I love lighting, I love spaces and trying to make stuff look beautiful, but this friction of installation and setup and complications is just too much for the average person. This is for everybody.
Cool. This is Derek Richardson, CEO of Deako. Thank you,
Great.
Derek. Make sure to vote.
Good
Remember?
stuff, Derek. Thanks. Thanks, Derek. Our next invention is Open APS, a DIY open source artificial pancreas system. Yes, that is correct. I know about this one, and it's really cool. It is one that I personally love, so I'm not trying to sway your vote, but please welcome inventor Dana Lewis to the stage.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Davis.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm a little bit untraditional here because I don't represent a company and we don't have a product per se, but what I'm representing is a movement of people who have taken technology into their own hands to solve problems. In my case, it's living with type 1 diabetes and having devices that don't interoperate. I have an insulin pump and a continuous glucose monitor that are made by different companies. They don't talk to each other and they're dumb. So if my blood sugar drops, I keep dosing insulin, unless you add in a small computer, a radio device, and a battery like this, and you can end up with a DIY artificial pancreas that will automatically adjust your insulin dosing for you when you're running high because you have adrenaline because you're on stage in front of a bunch of people, or you're walking home later and your blood sugar starts dropping. It doesn't matter why. And what's great about this is it's flexible. So it works for people of all ages, all sizes around the world. Because we did this open source, there's now over 400 people worldwide using these types of systems. And that's significant because there are people like me who aren't traditional engineers and programmers. But we were able to learn what we needed to learn to build the system and to make it flexible. So you can pull out your phone and say, hey Siri, set my target to be a little bit higher because I'm gonna be speaking. You can be at home and say, hey Alexa, enter 15 carbs. You can use Google Home. You can use whatever you want to interoperate and make it possible and make it easier to adjust your insulin dosing. And again, this is about being able to be safe at night and living with type 1 diabetes. And this is significant because 3 years ago when I started this didn't exist on the commercial market. Even today, there's now finally one system, but it's only approved in the US. It's not widely available, and it might be years before insurance covers it. It might be years before it's available to countries around the world. So we're using the power of social media, the power of open source technology to communicate ideas, to make this kind of system better, both in terms of better hardware, smaller hardware, more power efficient, but also better code so that we get the best possible outcomes in living with type 1 diabetes.
Excellent. Okay, so let's walk through this, Dana.
And you want to check it
you,
out?
This is what?
My artificial pancreas.
So what is it made of?
That has an Intel Edison and a custom radio board that's open source that we call the Explorer block. And it has a custom radio stick on it to talk to my insulin pump, and it's hotspotted to my phone to get glucose data from the continuous glucose monitor in my pocket.
Got it. So you've got a glucose monitor in your pocket, communicates to this, which then regulates the insulin pump
Yes.
on your hip.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay.
And it's fully operational right now.
It is right now. I actually have 2 of them running, and that's the other cool thing is you can have as many of them as you want around your house. So if you have a kid who's running around and doesn't want to carry devices in your pocket, you don't have to chase the kid and say, get back here, be close to your rig. They'll hand off from each other.
Okay, fascinating. So this is a DIY open source project that you started.
Yes.
And so other people out there can go and essentially create their own using the blueprint that you and others involved in the project have created.
Exactly, and you can build it. If you have a bunch of Raspberry Pis sitting around at home and you're like, ooh, I want to build mine with a Pi, you can go home, grab your Pi, and start building. If you want to use the Intel Edison, you can use that. Now that it's being discontinued, we're working on different hardware options for people to be able to buy something that is cheap and battery efficient and small enough that we want to carry around every day.
And how long did it take you from the idea of coming up with this to actually building it and implementing it?
So I didn't set out to build the artificial pancreas. What I first wanted was to make louder alarms for this one particular device, the glucose monitor. Once we did that, we inadvertently built an algorithm that would predict into the future what the blood sugar would be. And I used this kind of open loop system where it would tell me what to do and I would take action for a year. So by the time we started working with other people who had figured out how to communicate with the insulin pump, there are people who figured out that piece, we plugged it all together. It was a matter of days and hours of actually closing the loop and building the artificial pancreas, but that's because we had spent a year testing the algorithm and designing that feature.
Wow. That's
Excellent.
cool.
And I know one of your goals is to create a situation where companies, insurance companies, people in the healthcare system actually come out with things that are like this, right?
Exactly. We're not here to become a medical company. That's why this is open source. But our thing is open source for individuals to use as well as for companies. With the idea of we have a great feature that a company hasn't thought of, take it. That's what open source is about. We're hoping that companies come out with products that are better and work for more people, but also come out sooner because we don't have time. We're going to bed tonight with type 1 diabetes. We're living tomorrow with type 1 diabetes, and we need things to make it easier. And whatever we can do to help, that's what we want to do.
All right, I'm getting nervous holding this, Dana, but here you go.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Dana
Dana.
Lewis,
Dana
Open
Lewis.
APS.
Open APS, very cool.
So before we move on, I should say the reason I sort of knew a little bit about that was Dana was a featured guest on a great podcast that Claire McGrain on our team hosts, the Health Tech Podcast. And if you want to find out more about that, be sure to look up that episode featuring Dana. Which
And I think it was one of the most popular stories of the year
Ever.
on GeekWire.
Yes.
So that was very well received. Okay, our next invention comes from Play Impossible, maker of a connected ball for fun gameplay. Please welcome Brian Monin, CEO of Play Impossible. Come on up, Brian.
Yeah. While they're walking up,
And Brian's got a special guest. Why don't you introduce your special guest, Brian?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me
How's
get
it
a little
going, Jake?
setup here.
Hi there.
all right, so John, I got to let you on a little secret.
Oh, you're gonna-
Brian and I have been
You've been scheming?
scheming a little
All
bit
right.
backstage.
All right.
There's going to be a competition involved. I don't want to imply that I'm going to cheat, but I might
I'm
cheat.
ready to test this out. What do you got?
All right,
for
all
us?
right. I'm Brian Monin, CEO and co-founder of Play Impossible. For the last 20 years, I've been designing and shipping software to keep you in your seat and keep your eyes glued to the screen. And it's been working. We can't look away from all these great addicting games, binging on video, but it's also contributing to a worldwide butt-sitting epidemic. Our kids are 30% less physically active than they were just 2 generations ago. So for us, we thought, how can we best bridge the best of digital, leveling up, achievements that you can share, with the best of physical, finding your mark in the distance, running, huffing and puffing. We felt the best interface for that was a ball. So we designed some great hardware and software. We recruited some of the best game designers from EA Sports. We had just one problem. We didn't know the first thing about how to build a ball. So luckily, we have local, I think a really untold startup story, Baden Sports, in the Renton area, who we've been working with for over 18 months to bring you the game ball, which we'll be playing in just a second. And I'm happy to share the stage with Jake Leek, the COO of Baden Sports.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, just really quickly, Baden Sports, as some of you might know, a lot of people say Baden or Baden. We're a local sporting goods company. We focus primarily on balls, so volleyballs, basketballs, and things like that. And so we've watched the sort of rise of connected balls very closely. Excuse me. And what we saw a lot of our competitors doing was really focusing on data collection for the purpose of training and developing training tools for very specific existing sports. And we just didn't really see a big opportunity there that we were eager to jump into. But when Brian came in and we sat down and started talking about what this idea of Play Impossible could be, just the idea of creating a ball that instead of saying this is a ball for this very specific sport, that we could create a ball that would open up your imagination and could be a ball that would really launch 1,000 games. And this idea just caught hold within our company, and we've just had a great time working on this with Play Impossible.
So you guys want to play a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the
All
idea
right.
here is that you can connect from anywhere. And so from across the backyard, from across the court. And so what I'm doing here now is controlling my iPhone, but it could be an Android device, Fire OS, and selecting a game that I want to play.
Are we going to see that up on the
Yeah,
big
can we
screen
see
there?
that?
Yeah,
on the
let's see
screen.
that on the big screen as well. That's going to be cool.
There we go.
All right. So here I'm navigating until I find a game that I want. So maybe we'll start with Sport Labs, and I can just select it by tapping the ball itself. And so here, first we just want to see how accurate can we be. Can I reveal the invisible? So I just want to toss this up.
Drop it, Todd.
We can begin to see real-time stats. If you want to go speed, we go. Oh, there we go. So we're just being able to reveal the invisible, broadcast the action, which you can hear. And so that's just the beginning of play. But what are all the other types of games we can play? The first thing we want to do is let's get a little competition going. I bet you two
We're not
wouldn't
that
mind
competitive.
competing
Not
with one
competitive
another.
at all,
little bit?
not at all.
So we'll go to another game that we love, one that's called Showdown.
Red player, double tap your game ball. Blue player.
So you're the red
toss
player.
Your game ball.
Okay.
Blue player, toss your game ball. Red player, double tap
Give it
your
double tap.
Red player,
Double
double
tap.
tap your blue player, toss your game ball.
All right. There we go. So now we're going to have a shakedown contest.
Uh-oh.
Who can shake the ball more?
All right.
Does it depend on how vigorous we do this?
On the countdown, you got a shakedown. All right.
It's the name of the game.
Shake the game ball until you gain 3,000 points. 3, 2, 1, go.
He's already going.
They're off. Oh, he's off. I don't know if he can recover. Todd's way ahead. John's coming. He's going to catch him. He caught him. You did it.
Yes! Going down! You're going down! Oh,
The
yeah.
strategy is simple. Get you off your tail. Get you running around, huffing and puffing. Rediscover physical play.
It's the most
Play
exercise
Impossible.
I've done in the last 2 days.
So it's a Play Impossible. The first product is called the Game Ball.
All right.
This is cool.
So, Brian, what are some of the other games you can do with it?
So we've got a variety of games. Think about Nintendo 1-2 Switch. So we got a
Yeah.
lot of those type of activities. We'll take a look here and just navigate through. So we have Splash, which is like an egg toss or old-fashioned water balloon toss, where you take steps away from one another. We can detect the very specific. A lot of the games we modeled after what's popular today. Little physics levelers like Angry Birds or Cut the Rope. Skyscraper's one where you see how high you can throw it. So suddenly you're tasked with, well, gosh, I can't throw it 75 feet, but I can throw it 6 times 10
Can
feet.
I try to get it back there to someone in the room, or is that going to damage the ball?
We'll end with that.
All right. Who's back there? That's
Jostle's a
I don't think I
wrestler.
can get it that far.
Oh, look, your brother's
Oh, there's my
raising his
brother.
hand.
My brother's out there. I can try to bean him. Yeah. It'll be like old times around the Cook household.
What kind of insurance does this event have?
Yeah, that's right.
Jostle's a wrestling game where it's a keep away. You have to keep the ball very still. We also have Hot Taters for a hot potato type game. Rallies, keeping it in the air, not catching it. So anything that we can sense, we can measure and turn into a contest.
I know our timing with this session is very good. When will this be available?
I'm glad you asked that. It's available
What a
today
softball.
on Target.com and 100 Target stores around the country, and next week on Amazon Launchpad.
I didn't catch the cost.
$99.
$99.
And you get new games every month.
The app works on Android?
Android, iOS, Fire OS tablets.
Wow.
And soon, happy to preview on this winter. Winter's coming, Seattle, and so we'll be on Fire TV as well.
So I love the concept. I've got a 7-year-old boy who go nuts about this. $99. You know how many balls my son loses throughout the course of a year? I mean, it's probably in the dozens. That's the one thing that's giving me a little pause there.
No, you got to look. I mean, you buy a Nintendo Switch for $300, and every game costs $60 each. We know we all spend on Xbox or PlayStation, so we think, in comparison, it's quite a bargain.
Well, we lost a drone on top of Gasworks Park already, so I'm assuming this would end up someplace bad.
Oh,
No, it was a cheap one.
No.
Does this have
Have
GPS?
GPS?
No, but your phone does.
Oh, okay. So can you track
Can
the
you track
location?
It connects to your phone.
Could you do like a Find My Play Impossible? Like you could do a Find My iPhone?
Yeah.
Feature request.
Put it on the backlog. We're kicking off a sprint right
You're
now.
trying to break some news
Right?
here,
I
I
got
think.
my
We're putting
tech
you on the
team's like
spot.
twitching right now. They're like, just because they asked for it does not go to the top of the sprint.
That's right.
Well, this is really cool. Thank you for sharing it with us.
No, thanks for having
Thanks,
us.
Brian.
All
Very
right.
cool.
Thank you for being here as a
And
surprise
thanks, Jake.
guest.
Thank you, Jake, for being here. Fun stuff. That's going to be hard to vote, I know. That was 3 really great inventions today.
So there's your options.
Vote for your favorite. I don't know if can we already see a live poll where voting is going yet, or are we too? Here we go.
Okay, so far, Dana,
okay.
well, of course, now this is
That's
still
not quite
evolving.
fair because Play Impossible just got off the stage.
Just got off the
but
stage.
Yes.
Well, we'll see it evolve here.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, that's cool.